that was there. I think, so we're good to go? Good to go. Okay.
All right. Well, I welcome. This is our very first live Mental Health Monday Q&A. This is obviously a momentous occasion for us. And as you can tell, if you're already on the stream or you're watching this after, this is our very first one, and we're still trying to figure this out, how to really do this, how to do this well. We have a really great team behind us, but sometimes technology doesn't want to communicate with us. So thank you for being here, and look forward to answering all these amazing questions that have been sent in. I've had a little bit of a preview, but I just, thank you for those that have sent them in already. If you have questions as you're listening right now, just go ahead and shoot them off to us. Abby's going to be here to moderate this discussion, to make sure that I get to your questions and hear and answer, what has come up in your mind over the last month, 6 weeks, however long it's been since we have started these Mental Health Monday videos. So, Abby, do you have any questions?
Let's start with one of the first questions that came in. How do you deal emotionally when you apologize and the other person doesn't acknowledge the apology? You are in their vicinity quite a bit.
So, let me make sure I'm understanding this right.
Okay.
So how do you deal with someone that you've apologized?
Yep. How do you deal emotionally when you apologize and the other person doesn't acknowledge that apology and you have to be around them a lot?
Well, I mean, that is a tough situation. Obviously, if you have to apologize, you feel is necessary to apologize, there was some harm that was caused to the other person. And I guess you kind of need to first understand that just because you're in a place that you feel okay, doesn't mean that person feels okay themselves.
Yeah.
Just like if someone were to hurt you, you're not going to trust them immediately. You kind of have to earn that trust back. So if someone hurts you, you feel like you can't trust them immediately. You want them to, they need to earn your trust.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing goes for you. If you hurt somebody and you've apologized, there's reparations that need to be done to make sure that that you can address and help heal that hurt that you've caused. I guess my question would be, yes, you have to be around them, but what is it that is causing you to feel uncomfortable? Do you still feel guilty yourself?
That's a good question.
If that's the case, then I guess forgiving yourself would be the next step.
Yeah.
Because I know I've done things and said things that I regret and I've apologized for, but I still feel, or had still felt guilt for many weeks, even years afterwards, because I was embarrassed by what I had done.
Yeah.
So, the very good question.
Okay. I hope we answered that for whoever sent that in. If you need clarification, let us know. The next question is, in the Mental Health in the Bible seminar and a previous Mental Health Monday video, you referred to emotions as the lights on the dashboard. Can you expound? So,
for those that haven't been to our seminar, actually, one good news, if you missed our seminar in June, you have another opportunity to attend our Mental Health and Bible seminar coming up, I believe, in February. Tentatively, we have set the date to have a second Bible and Mental Health seminar where we will discuss a lot of things that you've seen the last few weeks. But specifically right now, this idea of emotions being the warning lights on the dash. So we come from a background that I feel like for so many years, emotions have been viewed within the religious realm especially as something that needs to be avoided. That really feels like we've been programmed to just be even keel, which is not the case. That's not the way we're designed. Jesus being our example, we see Jesus gets upset. He gets angry and flips the tables in the temple. Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane saying, Lord, let this cup pass from me, is so distraught. It's so sad that he's, crying and perspiring, blood. That doesn't just happen unless there's major emotion. Jesus loved, Jesus cared. I mean, so you have all these emotions that he demonstrated. It's not right for us to feel like we can't or shouldn't demonstrate emotions. But the difference is, and where this concept comes from, is emotions are meant to direct our life, to direct our decisions. They're not to make our decisions. We're not to make our decisions based solely on emotion. But they are there to help us, to alert us to what's going on. So just like in your car, we drove here today, and we have warning lights on the dash to tell us, oh, I have an itchy nose. We have warning lights on the dash that will tell us, hey, you have a tire pressure's low, your oil pressure's low. Hey, and actually, in all honesty, we have a warning light on our dash that says your windshield washer fluid is low. We live in Washington, it's raining. I don't feel like I need washer fluid because the rain's coming and clean the windshield. So, point being though, we see those and it alerts us to something going on beneath the hood, beneath the surface, that causes us to then make decisions to address something that needs to be addressed. In the case of our car, we have a warning light that says your windshield washer fluid is low. We made the decision based on that to go to the auto parts store and get a jug of washer fluid to fill the washer fluid. So in our lives, our emotions are those same things. When we're sad, when we're angry, when we're happy, it's alerting us to what's going on, what's going on beneath the surface. If you do something and it makes you really happy, then that's something that maybe you continue doing. You like going out fishing, you like spending time with your significant other, then continue doing that. But if you're in a situation where you're just angry, you're sad, you just feel blue, maybe that's your emotions alerting you to something is not right here.
Yeah.
I need to address what's going on. This is where, so if you're feeling sad, it might be an alert to, hey, I need to go get some help to work through this. If you're in a depressive state, okay, maybe why am I in this depressive state?
Right.
It alerts you to, I need to make a change or address something that's causing me to have this emotional warning light going off. So that's what I mean by warning lights on the dash being our emotions. We don't make our decisions based on the warning lights in our car, but they help us make sure the car stays on the road.
Yeah. Could they be used diagnostically to help you understand, maybe figuring out what's, like, you were talking about you're feeling sad, maybe asking yourself the question, why is it that I'm feeling sad, in this situation, and it being kind of like something that presses you to dig in?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think warning lights in a car are a diagnostic tool.
Oh, yeah.
I think God has given us our emotions as a diagnostic tool as well, to alert us to, hey, let's dig into, let's work through this. Because also, let's not forget that everything in life, everything in God's design was designed in the context of relationship.
Right.
Scripture tells us that we're to confess our sins one to another. We're to bear one another's burdens. We're to be there, like Ecclesiastes talks about, two being better than one. For if one falls, the other can lift them up. Mm-hmm. And this is very much true here with our emotions. It's a diagnostic of, hey, you know what? There's something going on here. Mm-hmm. Maybe, you need to seek out relationships, seek out somebody to help you walk through this.
Yes.
Seek out some way to address whatever's going on. Mm-hmm. I think that's a misconception that we've had about, or this points to a misconception we've had about emotions. Emotions really can direct us to health. Mm-hmm. Where I feel like if we look back, I think emotions, the thought has been that if we are over emotional, it's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Well, let me rephrase that. If we are over emotional, if we're driven by just simply our emotions, that can lead to trouble. Mm-hmm. But if we understand our emotions in the proper context, and it leads us to address those things, and bring them to God, bring them into relationship with one another, and build deeper relationships, then this is really what we're working towards.
Right. One of the things that you talk about in the seminar when you're talking about the warning lights on the dashboard is you talk about ignoring those warning lights. What happens when you ignore those warning lights?
So if you ignore the warning lights in your car, so you have the most famous one that I think everyone thinks about is that check engine light. Mm-hmm. That comes on. For a number of years I worked as a mechanic, and so I would see cars coming with the check engine light quite frequently. And there were a number of times where I'd also seen people come in with black electrical tape over that because it just bugged them. Because they felt like if I don't see it, it's not there. Right. If I ignore it, it's not there. Well, just because you're ignoring it or you choose to not see it doesn't mean the damage isn't being there. Mm-hmm. So that light is there to warn you that you need to do something before it causes a bigger problem. Mm-hmm. And so the danger of avoiding it is that if we don't address what our emotions are telling us or alerting us to, it's going to lead to further damage of our psyche, further damage of our soul, of our relationships, mm-hmm. of our thought processes. It's going to lead to us needing to go find major help.
Yeah.
If we go and we look at a car, if we go and we address the check engine light, it might be $300 to fix it.
Right.
If we ignore it, we blow the engine, we're looking at $3,000.
Yeah.
$4,000. Maybe the car being completely totaled. Mm-hmm. And it's avoidable.
Yes.
If you just listened to that warning light and addressed it before it was too late.
Yeah.
You bring up in the seminar, John Ortberg tells a story that I share in the seminar that he has his, that ever annoying chirp of a fire alarm going off in his home.
Right.
And he chooses to ignore it and even takes the batteries out of the smoke detector, only to find out the next day that it was alerting him to a fire in his wall, mm-hmm. and his garage burned down.
Yeah.
If he would just listened to that alert, he would have prevented his house from being burned down.
Yeah.
Or his garage being burned down. If we listen to our emotions and use those to inform, hey, I'm now being alerted to something's just not right mm-hmm. here, and do the hard work to address those issues.
Yeah.
Then we can avoid the major problems. Mm-hmm. If we can learn how to address our emotions and recognize that, and be in relationship, have a friend, acquaintance, a loved one that you can go to.
Right.
You can, not unload on them, because we don't want to just unload and drop everything on people. Yeah. But if we're able to have relationship, confess one to another, lift and bear each other's burdens, ultimately we can avoid seeing those individuals come to the counseling office to
Yeah.
get help, because they won't have found themselves needing that massive help of a nervous breakdown or
Right.
an infidelity or something that will be incredibly damaging.
Right. Okay. This is fun. Good stuff. The next question. How does a parent move forward emotionally and spiritually when you have children with mental health problems labeled with disorders?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
And I don't know, in all honesty, if there is a great answer to that question.
Yeah.
I think in a situation like that where you have a parent who has been gifted with a child that has difficulties, whether it's developmentally, whether it's physically, emotionally, whatever the issue is. When a parent has a child who is born with these difficulties or has developed these difficulties, there is not one easy answer to put across all of this. I think it goes on a case-by-case basis. But I'm reminded that Pastor George talks about that God gives us a measure of faith for what he is going to bring to us.
Yeah.
So if God has chosen to bless you with a child who has these difficulties, he has also chosen to bless you with a faith that is strong enough to lead that child, to lead your family, to be the hands and feet of Christ in their life and the life of others, and to be a living testimony.
Oh, yeah.
We're called to be a living sacrifice, to live as a testimony to Christ. And when you have parents who are struggling with their child who has difficulties, as difficult as that can be, God really believes in you. God really knows that you have what you need. But I also think it's important to note or to state that if you are dealing with a child who has these difficulties and you're feeling overwhelmed, it's okay to not have it all together all the time.
Yeah.
It's okay to have struggles. It's okay to be frustrated every now and then. But it's not okay to stay there. It's not okay to let your emotions hold you captive and keep you there. It's not okay to take it out on the child.
Right.
But it's okay to have that struggle. And so you need to have grace for yourself. You're not going to always have it together. That child is going to give you a hard time.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest minds that have come through in the last 100 years have been difficult children.
Kids, yeah. Yeah.
And so whether they're diagnosed with something or not, we'll just look at having a difficult child. You need to recognize that there's still value in leading that child well. Still loving that child, still building them up and allowing God to be seen in their life through you, but in your family dynamic to others outside.
I think also with that, I mean, we have someone that says we need a village to pray for that child, but I would expound on that in saying you need support. We talk about this all the time. You say this over and over and over again. Nothing happens outside of relationship. And when you're dealing with a child that has, mental health difficulties, you need that support of other people to encourage you and uplift you through the difficult stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I love that statement. We absolutely need a village. I think about my own upbringing and all the influences and all the mentors I had outside of my family. I have a great relationship with my parents. I grew up in a family that was, a lot of people kind of viewed us as odd because we spent so much time together.
Right.
We enjoyed going on vacation together for the most part. I mean, when you have a sibling in the car in front of you and you're the older sibling, you're going to poke them. And so we, for the most part, had a really good time. But I look at my aunts and uncles and the influence they had on my life. I look at football coaches, pastors. I mean, I was just having a discussion today about how at 12 years old, my pastor growing up recognized something in me and invested in me and spoke into my life at 12 years old, something that I'm now, however many years later, pursuing this purpose and this calling that he recognized on my life. So we need a village, especially when it comes to, some of these, some of our children or even our spouses that can be a struggle. You sometimes need someone to give you a break.
Yeah.
And it's okay to take a break. It's okay to go take a breather, to have a night out. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good. All right. Next question. How does a person, this is such a good one for you, honey. How does a person that is very performance oriented move toward being more relaxed about outcomes that didn't hit the mark?
So now my first question is, why do you say that's a good one for me?
Because you have told me on a number of occasions that that's something you've struggled with, that you've always been performance driven. And when you don't hit the mark, you struggle with that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that I have struggled with for a long time. Growing up, I had a talent to play soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, I had, it came easy to me. Athletic accomplishments and athletic ability has always been a strength of mine. And so when I found success very early and very quick, and I found that I got rewarded for doing and performing, I very quickly found that, hey, you know what? I'm better than everybody else at this. It makes me feel good. And so now this must be who I am and who God created me to be. So then when things got a little more difficult as I got older, and it wasn't coming as easy because everyone else was working hard and they caught up, their hard work caught up to my talent, or I was just around people who were just as talented or more talented than me, because that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was those accomplishments that I was getting before, I was starting to not accomplish it. I was starting to miss the mark.
Right.
And for me, that kind of meant that my identity was nothing, because I was nothing without the accomplishments. And so as I would miss those accomplishments, as I would fall short, what resulted was a belief that I was not worth anything.
Yeah.
That if I couldn't accomplish this, then I couldn't accomplish anything, and my self-worth went into the toilet. My self-esteem went in the toilet. And so to be able to recognize that, how can a performance-driven person kind of, I can't remember what the word that you used, but
hit the mark. When they don't hit the mark, how can they deal with it emotionally?
That's something that it's something that I still have to kind of work through. And it's recognizing that all you can ask of yourself is the best that you can do. And I remember hearing this growing up, and it's not whether you win or lose. And I'd be like, no, it's absolutely if you win or lose. It's we played to win the game.
Yeah.
There's a very, there's a famous football coach that says this, about 20 years ago. He, in an interview, says, we played to win the game.
Yeah.
And so when people would tell me, that's the mindset I had. So when people would then say, well, it's not whether you win or lose, it's did you try? It bugged me. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that there is truth to that. All you can ask is that you did the best you could do with what you have. Because there's always going to be someone better than you, someone smarter than you, an enemy stronger than you. There's always going to be an issue that is bigger than you that you can't overcome. And there's always going to be a Goliath. There's always going to be a Gideon facing numbers that are way above what he can accomplish.
Right.
There's always going to be an impossible feat ahead of you. We're promised that through the Bible. And so recognizing that you're going to miss the mark because there are going to be things that are going to be bigger than you. There are going to be things that look like you're going to fail at. And you're going to probably fail before you break through. And it's being okay with, I'm doing and I did the best I could do.
Yeah.
I fought through it. There was nothing more I could do. And being okay with that.
Yeah.
Being okay with saying that I didn't give up. That really is the biggest value, because if you don't give up, if you don't fall back and you keep pushing forward, you're going to eventually break through.
Right. That's something that I think of, like all the different sports documentaries that we've watched together, where you have these players and it's like leading up to this like really big playoff game. I'm thinking of the Lakers one that we recently watched. It's leading up to this really big playoff game, and they have been like putting all their effort into winning, and they go and they lose. And how the players, obviously they're devastated because they've lost, and they've put forth so much effort, but they take that loss and they evaluate it, and they look over the recordings and they go, what could I have done differently? How could I have, responded to this type of situation in a different way that may have produced a better outcome, or, whatever. And I think that can be said for when you don't hit the mark, to use that as an opportunity for growth, right? And to not have it just be simply attached to your confidence and your self-worth, but use it to your advantage, to learn more about who you are and to grow through it, to kind of shift your perspective from I'm not good enough to, okay, I missed this. I didn't do it the way that I thought. It didn't have the outcome I thought it was going to have. How do I use this for my benefit next time? Right.
And there is value in failure.
Yes.
You can learn more, and I've heard this, and I'm sure you listening have heard this as well. You learn more from your failures than you'll ever learn from success.
Yeah.
And you talk about that with the Lakers. They had to go through these struggles and these failures before they ever found success.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. He had to go through the failures before he found the success. And the true value of success, true success is not found in getting the breakthrough. It's found in failing, not giving up, and then having a breakthrough.
Yep, the perseverance.
One thing that I keep going back to is that in the Jewish mindset, you can be the wealthiest person in the world, But if you have not been bankrupt and failed at least twice, you are not viewed as successful.
Yeah.
Because in that mindset, the mindset which the Bible is written in, it's recognized that failure is part of the equation. That failure is part of success.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the things that helped me overcome this performance-driven mentality was, it's actually based here on the wall here, is this quote from one of my professors that says, God's word influences my perspective. So God's word influences the way I look at things.
Yes.
That perspective influences how I respond. So I respond based on what God's word says about me, about failure, about overcoming things. And then because of my perspective influencing how I respond, my responses influences the outcome.
Yeah.
So in that outcome is 100%. Let me go back and I was trying to do this and be slick, but let me just read it.
Okay.
It says God's word influences my perspective. My perspective influences how I respond. My response influences the outcome 100% of the time.
Right.
You're gonna fail.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a performance-driven person, you need to hear this. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fall short of the mark. You're gonna miss what you're trying to do. But you have a choice whether or not you let it get you down. You say, I'm a failure, or you look at it as an opportunity to learn what not to do.
Yeah.
Thomas Edison failed to make the light bulb 1,000 times before he figured it out.
Yeah.
And when asked about it, called the greatest failure of an inventor, he said, well, no, I just learned 1,000 times how not to do it.
Right.
So he learned how to do it from learning how to not do it.
Right.
So we have the choice how we look at things.
Yes.
And the perspective on which we go about things.
Yeah.
We can look at the struggles in our life beyond just what we're talking about here. We can look at the struggles and the things we're facing as an opportunity to grow and to mature and to learn, or we can look at it as an opportunity to go and hide and sit in the corner.
Yeah.
But the true successful people are the ones that look at the situations they're facing, even the darkest, and look for the hope in it, look for the benefit in it.
Yeah.
They might, doesn't mean you say that, oh, I hate these I love these terrible situations. It's I saw this on the wall in a weight room one time. It said, embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Sometimes life and our situations just stink.
Yeah.
And you have to embrace it for what it can give you.
Yes.
If you have the proper perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think perspective is a big part.
Yeah.
Like for me as a performance-driven individual, perspective and having the proper perspective has influenced the outcome of my life.
Yep.
That things aren't always great, but they're better than they were before.
Right.
Even when things are worse than they were before.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes,
Okay.
it makes sense to me.
Does that make sense to you?
So this will be our last question. Unless there are any others that have come through, I have not seen any. How do you navigate positive interactions with relatives who are not believers and do not feel or... Oops, sorry. Let me redo that.
Okay.
How do you navigate positive interactions with relatives who are not believers and not feel or act defensive and confrontational? How do you not feel defensive or confrontational? Oh, that's a really hard one to do.
Well, I mean, I guess, first of all, you have to, you need to cloak it in prayer.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to be a situation, we have Thanksgiving's coming up later this month. And, we're going to gather together as families. And not always are those environments the most enjoyable and conducive for relationship. I mean, unfortunately,
agreeable
conversations. We have tomorrow is election day.
Yeah.
We have our midterm elections tomorrow. We go and we look at, I mean, I guarantee if you come off of this right now and you flip over to the TV, within the next 30 seconds, you're going to see a negative campaign ad.
Yes.
And chances are someone in your family is going to be on the other side of the aisle than you. Mm-hmm. And so how do you deal with someone who believes differently? Mm-hmm. And it starts with, if you know you're going to be in that situation, you need to pray for patience.
Yeah.
Because that person is going to develop patience in your life. This is also part of perspective.
Yes.
Difficult people, difficult relationships, develop patience. Mm-hmm. Develop a fortitude and ability to deal with difficult people. Unfortunately, sometimes those difficult people are our own family members.
Yeah.
So if you know you're going to be in that situation, cloak yourself in prayer. Paul talks about praying unceasing. Mm-hmm. In every step as he's walking through the day, he was praying without end. Make sure that you're praying. It starts with prayer. In fact, yesterday, Pastor George talked about the relationship that we're to have with prayer. Yeah. It starts with praying. It starts with feeding the spiritual man through prayer.
Right.
So I think we'd start there. But then going on from there, we're told to pray for our enemies. Mm-hmm. Don't just pray for patience. Pray for your loved one that is on the other side of things, that is difficult to you, that is going to be confrontational. I think if you go in expecting that it's going to be and praying to be patient, you can also prepare yourself for, okay, if this person, if my sister or my mom or whoever, my aunt, if they start getting upset or they start triggering me, give yourself an out. Mm-hmm. Give yourself a way that, hey, I need to go use the bathroom. Yeah. Or I'm going to go step outside. Go for a walk. Pull yourself out of the situation without making a scene. Find your way to pull yourself out of the situation. Yep. That is probably the best way, because you can't control what others do.
No.
You can only control your reaction and the way you handle them in your life. Mm-hmm. Recognizing that it's not about, you are not defined by their opinions, mm-hmm. by their words, by any of that. Mm-hmm. You are defined by who God created you to be, who He says you are, and recognizing that you don't have to be defined by that.
Right.
That's a very good question, though. Have we gotten any more questions?
No. I think that's it.
No questions? No one else wants to know anything more? Are you sure?
I think that was a pretty good Q&A. Thank you to those who sent those questions in. They were all really great. So
they were great.
This was a great first Q&A.
Hi, Miss Louisa.
Yes, we love you so much. Thank you all who viewed.
Yes, we appreciate this. And like I said, we're going to be doing these Q&As, every once a month. We're going to be doing these. Mm-hmm. That is the plan, at least for right now. Hopefully you'll spread the word that you've enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Even though it's been a little bit rough, because your first attempt is always a little rough.
Yes.
But you stuck through it. High five to you. Thank you. We appreciate your patience.
Yes.
We appreciate you're investing in us. Mm-hmm. We just ask that you'll invest into others as well, that you'll take what you learned, not just tonight, but in our Mental Health Monday videos, and you'll share that with your family, your friends. You'll share the videos on social media. Let's spread this.
Yeah.
So that we can help others. So that's why we're doing this. We want to help spread the gospel. We want to help make things brighter in a dark world.
Mm-hmm. And don't stop sending in your questions, even though we don't have another Q&A for a month. Send them in, and we'll answer them. We'll answer them. Heck, we may even make an entire video based on your question. Yeah, that's true.
Because we don't want to make videos that people aren't interested or gonna help.
Yeah.
That defeats the purpose of this.
That's true.
I like to talk.
I know.
I like to talk. I'll sit in this room and talk to myself. So I want to make sure that if we're recording it, there's a reason to record it.
Yes.
She laughs because I'm pretty sure I talk in my sleep.
Oh, he does.
And, I always make the joke, you don't give a preacher a microphone.
Yep.
So I think there was something else I was going to bring up.
Oops, sorry.
She's apologizing. You're apologizing. Okay.
I interrupted you.
We have, like I said, we have coming up in February. Start planning now. Mm-hmm. Be here. Bring your friends, your family, whoever, for our mental health and the Bible seminar. Tentatively, it's in February. We had a really great turnout, great time when we did it in June of this last year, or June of this year. And we want to see this go out and get bigger.
Yeah.
We really feel like God is doing something here in the South Sound, that in the midst of a true pandemic of mental health issues, we really want to see the light of Christ illuminate the darkness
Yes.
of the mental health issues,
Yes.
depressive struggles, anxiety. Mm-hmm. We really want to address these. So start putting on your calendars now for February. Be looking for, on these videos and our social media, be looking for more information so that you can share it with your friends and family.
Yeah.
Because we'd really love to see your friends and family want to expand the kingdom by doing this. So I think
we're good.
that is it. I thank you everybody for watching. I thank you if you didn't watch this live. I thank you for watching this later on. We love you.
We love you.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Sorry. Thank you for watching, everybody.
All right. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.